Stop number 6 on the Miller Lite AVP Tour. Today, the Crossroads Mall is the happening place for the Miller Lite Open at San Antonio. Our championship final matchup, intriguing. Brian Lewis and Mike Whitmarsh, who have not played in a tournament together since '93, going up against the best young team on the beach, Brazilian stars Andre Gomes and Emmanuel Rego. Once again, the thermometer up over 100. Both teams of two players, very, very good friends. There is Andre Gomes, 6'4", 198 pounds. He's 27 years old. He was born in Brasilia, Brazil, now living in Hermosa Beach, California. He's the big man. He'll alternate with his partner at the net, Emmanuel Rego. Rego will start in blocking position. There's Mike Whitmarsh, of course, the taller of the two. Here we go. They used to call him Jeff 5 or 6 years ago. Whitmarsh and Brian Lewis. So the first serve to Mike Whitmarsh. And Whitmarsh cuts it inside. 1 game to 15 for the championship.
1 game to 15, a good start for Whitty, a little chop cross court. Those first couple plays of a match, you want to get the feel, get things going. Good side out for Whitmarsh.
Brian Lewis is 6'1", 185 pounds, Corona Del Mar, California. And he serves Emmanuel. And Emmanuel hits it straight down. Let's tell you about Emmanuel Rego, 25 years old, 6'4", 175 pounds. He has been the #1 ranked player in the world the last 3 years on the FIVB Tour. Came to the United States because he wants to be #1 on the AVP Tour. Got a rocket for a jumper. Can block, hit, and play defense. Lewis tapping inside.
Emmanuel is just a world-class player on any tour. It's great to have him on the AVP. It's, I think for a lot of the Brazilian players, it's now becoming a lifestyle decision also. Not as much long travel on the AVP Tour as the International Tour.
First look at Andre Gomes. Gomes, Whitmarsh is up there. And Lewis's dig is out of bounds. It remains to be seen how much these teams, how much energy these two teams had. Both had very difficult quarterfinals.
Both had 3-game matches. A lot of energy spent out there. It's a hot day. And we'll just see who can last the longest.
No score, early action. Here comes Brian Lewis. And Lewis taps over the top. Most of the time, Brian Lewis will get the serve from Brazil, correct?
I think so. I think you're going to see a majority of the serves going to Brian Lewis for that team. And probably Whitmarsh and Louis concentrating on Gomes for a little while and see how he sides out.
Lewis working on Gomes. Gomes is in the black. And Whitmarsh blocks him. Oh, Emmanuel got it up for a second, and Gomes can't get there. So give the first point of the match to Mike Whitmarsh and Brian Lewis.
Interesting play. The first set by Emmanuel was too tight. They did cover that one for the side out. Second one a little off the net. Emmanuel almost with the cover. Great extension. Couldn't quite get it up in the range of Gomes. Another serve on Gomes.
1-0. Here comes Gomes. And Gomes cuts it on the line. Nicely done. So Andre Gomes gets the kill, a successful spike, and now Emmanuel will go back to serve. Emmanuel played in the Olympics with another Brazilian named Zamarco. They finished a very disappointing 9th as Brazil kind of flamed out in beach volleyball. Here comes Whitmarsh, and Whitmarsh over the top. Whitmarsh no flame out as he teamed with Mike Dodd to win the silver medal.
We actually beat Emmanuel and Zamarco in the quarterfinals, and then they lost to that tough Portugal team that was on fire that weekend at the Olympics.
Whitmarsh serving. His team leading 1-0. They're serving Gomes, and Gomes is chopping off the side.
Interestingly, Whitty and I played Andre in an international tournament in Fortaleza, and we crushed him 15-0. He was so afraid of Whitmarsh, and he was hitting balls right at us. Talking to Whitty, he says he's a completely different player now.
Trying to serve Lewis. That should be a straight down crank, and it is. So Emmanuel Rego, the #1 player in the world, FIVB.
That wasn't that tough of a serve, Chris. That's just a shank for Brian Lewis. Emmanuel's up there saying, Brian, can you put that a little bit higher next time?
I can remember when Angelino and Loyola were there in their first American final. Brian Lewis pounded it down. I believe it was in Fort Worth, Texas, that they made their final. So Lewis and Whitmarsh will get the ball back. If you're wondering, Lewis and Whitmarsh have played a lot together, but they've never won a tournament together.
And they've been close on quite a few occasions. This would be a nice way to start their new partnership.
1-1. Here comes Emmanuel. And right over the top he goes. I was talking to Emmanuel, and I asked him, why did you choose Gomes who you mentioned, kind of a journeyman, working his way up. He said, we're best friends. We're best friends. We like to play together, and we have the chemistry. It's amazing what the top player has done to Gomes to bring him up to that championship level. Nice set. Whitmarsh, and Whitmarsh puts it down.
Emmanuel, he's only 25 years old, but a wealth of experience. He's won 28 Opens, 15 on the FIVB Tour, 13 in Brazil, and he's young, and he can jump. He can play every phase of the game.
They're working on Gomes a lot. That could be a battle in this particular matchup against Gomes, the big man in the black tank top. Good-looking guy. He looks like he'll get some modeling work somewhere down the line. And Brian Lewis on the other side, the shorter of the Lewis-Whitmarsh gang. They're going to get a lot of serve. And that one's spinning out of bounds. Score remains 1-1.
He's got a little bit of a breeze blowing towards Whitmarsh and Lewis in their favor right now, but not a stiff breeze, not a real big aiding type of wind.
Brian Lewis, and Lewis misses the serve. I asked Emmanuel and Andre what they feared most about Whitmarsh and Lewis, and they said Lewis and Whitmarsh, the best serve and the best block on the beach, so we have to really be ready. Of course, talking about Lewis blocking and Whitmarsh serving, of course. Just kidding. Here comes Lewis, and Lewis peppers one. How tough is Brian Lewis to serve to receive?
Oh, when he's got it going, it's one of the toughest on tour, because he hits kind of a half knuckler. He puts different spins on it, sometimes across his body, sometimes away from his body, and it can be wicked at times.
Lewis playing defense now behind Whitmarsh and down the hatch.
And talking to Whitty in the players' tent, he kind of echoed the Brazilian sentiments. They can score points. Whitty said, Louis served my block. I'm blocking good this weekend. We're scoring a lot of points. The key for them is Brian Lewis's passing.
Absolutely. They got a side out, get your ball up there where Whitmarsh can bump it. Gomes digs, and it's going out of bounds. So early action, 6 minutes, 25 seconds remaining. And we have a 1-1 score. The Americans of Mike Whitmarsh and Brian Lewis. The Brazilians of Emmanuel and Gomes. Not Gomes, Gomes for Big Gomer who can hit. We'll get another chance here. That's tight. And cutting inside, and perhaps a little intimidation there by Mike Whitmarsh.
Here's the intimidation factor of Whitty. Gomes taking a look at that big block and chopping it about 3 feet short in front of the net. And to me, it's not the one error. It's the error after that, if you make it, that differentiates.
That's trouble. Gomes pokes long out of the reach of Lewis. So a nice shot by Andre Gomes.
Saving a tight set. And I think that's the difference when you see a young player starting to develop. 2 or 3 years ago, maybe Gomes makes 2 or 3 errors in a row, and now he hits the bad cut shot, but he comes back and gets the side out right away.
Now, Emmanuel Rego to serve. We call him Emmanuel. Most Brazilians have 4 or 5 names, but then they have a nickname too.
Yeah, I don't think you're really an established sports star in Brazil unless you have a one-name title to yourself. You got Eugenio, Loyola,
yep.
Emmanuel.
Just like the soccer players, Ronaldo, Pele, etc. Here comes Gomes, and he hits it straight down. Now, it's kind of interesting. Both the Brazilian players are married, and both have kids.
Both have kids. Andre's wife, Juliana, happy Mother's Day, and they've got a little boy, Guilherme. They call him G. He's 3 months, and again, the lifestyle change is good for the family.
And Lewis can't convert, so that's going to be a point for Gomes and Emmanuel. Take a look at Matias Rego on the left, Gomes on the right. Gomes, cute little types, they're already playing volleyball, and I heard they're working out together under the tutelage of Dane Selznick, their coach.
Well, that's great. That's great to be friends. It always makes working out and traveling and all the other aspects of the tour that much easier.
Over the top goes Brian Lewis. Now, if you're wondering about Brian Lewis, he's 17th ranked at the moment. He hasn't won a tournament since Grand Haven in 1996. He did that with Scott Hacketubby. This year, he got a 25th, a 7th, a 5th, and a 3rd. So he's been improving very quickly, and now he has his best chance to win in quite some time. Over the top, ball flown out of bounds. And that will cost the Brazilians a point. So we've got a good one going here in San Antonio, Texas. Mike Whitmarsh and Brian Lewis leading Gomes and Emmanuel, the Brazilian squad, at 3-2. Gomes First Brazilian team in the final for a while. It's looking for their first championship. And Mike Whitmarsh and Brian Lewis looking for their first ever championship. So two really good storylines going here. Two teams that are hungry, as you said, Mike, to win. And out of the reach. Let's re-identify the players for you. There's Brian Lewis. Cool sunglasses, hat backwards. He's 6'1" out of Corona Del Mar. His partner, of course, is 6'7" Mike Whitmarsh, who now lives in San Diego, California, the former basketball star. There is Emmanuel Rego. As we get back to Whitmarsh, Rego will serve. His partner is Gomes in the black tank top. And the ace on the line, says Greg Krause, the first referee. So we've got a 3-3 tie early.
And we've got our first little dispute here. Lewis and Whitmarsh saying that ball was out. And it's tough because sometimes the ball can tick just the edge of the line on its way out. The ball marked completely out, but if the line moves, a lot of times the refs will call it in.
Single elimination tournament, 1-15 in the final. That ball served out of bounds. A lot of talk I've heard recently about the jump serve and its relation in volleyball. Some people love it because it scores and it gets you going. A lot of people don't like it because you miss so many. What's your feeling?
Well, if you talk to the old greats like Ron Von Hagen, I know he's not a big fan of it.
Off the top, Lewis will shovel it to Whitmarsh. Whitmarsh looking for a point. No. Gomes guessed right. Gomes on the left. And Lewis is there. Whitmarsh slapped down.
Couple of great opportunities for Whitmarsh and Lewis. Louis scrambling in the back row. He picks this ball up tight to the net, and Whitty just chops it down on two.
So Whitmarsh and Lewis get a much-needed point. They take the lead 4-3. Gomes, boy, doing a lot of shooting early, not choosing to challenge Whitmarsh. You think that's a good idea?
I think that's a very good idea. And the book on Gomes earlier was cross-court, cross-court, cross-court. All he could do is hit cross-court. Talking to Whitty earlier, he says that's not the case anymore. He mixes it up. He chops down the line, hits cut shots, hits deep, middle. He's a more complete player now.
Andre Gomes, they're working on Brian Lewis. That was a bad pass, but it's going to turn out all right as Louis got the bounce and got the post.
And that, I think, passing has always been the Achilles heel of Brian. He's a great athlete, great jump serve, but sometimes he just lacks a little concentration. He passes balls too high, he passes balls in the net, and that just gets him in trouble.
So Lewis will serve. Whitmarsh hit the net. 4-3. Whit and Lewis lead. Gomes cuts back the other way.
And there you see maybe the new confidence, the new experience of Gomes. Emmanuel sets that ball 6-7 feet off the net. He chops it down Whitty's line. And instead of being in trouble, they get a side out and they get to go back and beat the jump serve of their own.
So here comes Emmanuel. His wife is Welma. Their son is 8 months old, and that's an ace. So we're tied at 4. So the jump serve is proving to be a big factor.
And Emmanuel with that jump serve where he takes off in the middle of the court and rips it across his body down Lewis's line. He's been scoring on that jump serve all weekend.
Why doesn't Lewis move over towards the line? Looks like he's giving a lot of line. Here's Lewis. And Louis hits it off the block out of bounds. Next time Emmanuel serves, maybe you can see how much line Brian Lewis is giving on that play.
And here you see Emmanuel jump serving and then running up to the net and blocking, just not penetrating in time, and Lewis banging it off his arms.
Mike Whitmarsh with the serve. Here comes Gomes, and Gomes cross court. 4-4, 1-15.
And there you see Gomes. He's not flashy, he's not Loyola, he's not Emmanuel, but he knows his limitations. Sees the open court, just kind of softly bangs it off Whitty's block.
Takes a good look, too. Got a good vision. Lewis in trouble passing. Whitmarsh, great set. Louis up high. Got it! Oh, what a set by Mike Whitmarsh. You used to hit those sets, Mike Dodd, when Whit was making you look good.
Boy, I tell you, when Whitty comes off the net, there aren't a lot of players better at setting that off ball. Lewis, again, getting in trouble on not so difficult to serve, but Whitty well off the net, setting him 5-0, and Louis beats it cross court.
Pretty good serve there. Here comes Gomes. And Gomes smacks it. Lewis had the dig, but can't get there.
Nice overhand dig for Louis. He just wants to control that ball into the middle of the court and not outside the court. Whitmarsh about as quick as anyone coming off the net, chasing down dig, but even that one was out of his range.
We mentioned earlier that Lewis and Whitmarsh playing together for the first time in 5 years. After this play, I want you to talk about how easy or hard it is to rekindle that flame that they had. Here comes Lewis. And Lewis puts it away easily. Sometimes easy to get back in the saddle.
I think it's very easy to be back in the saddle. Since you've already played a lot of tournaments, they had history together. They knew each other. They've been playing against each other. But I think the fact that they'd played together a lot before is helping them right now, and obviously they're in the final, so.
Got to be doing something right. 4-4 is our score. That ball not coming out of the net. Of course, if you've heard a lot about international volleyball, FIVB against AVP, you know that the ball is different. The ball on the FIVB circuit, much different than the ball on the AVP circuit. I asked the Brazilians, they say they like the AVP Wilson ball a lot better. It's a little more bouncier, you have more control, you can hit the jump serve harder, and you can set it better. So they have no problem. They don't complain when they come to the AVP Tour. Some of the AVP players really get off on going to the FIVB and complaining about that ball.
And I think the key you mentioned, Cy, is control. The AVP ball is softer and it's heavier. And for those two reasons, it's much easier to control not only your jump serves, but your shots and every other aspect of the game.
Lewis going down the line. No control on that one. 4:36 remaining.
And I think even more so than the ball, what the AVP players don't like about the FIVB Tour is that they let mishandled balls just go every time. You can just chuck the ball up to the net, and the referees just don't call it.
That ball is out of bounds, but some people would say, yeah, but you have a lot of people on the AVP Tour that can't set with their hands because the setting rules are so tight. How would you argue that?
Well, they can't set with their hands, and so to compensate for that, they bump set and they learn ball control. Whereas on the FIVB Tour, you can get a bunch of indoor players that have no beach experience, but the fact that they can go there and grab the ball from mid-court and throw it up to the net, it nullifies the fact they don't have good ball control.
There goes Gomes. Final ad on this, but wouldn't you say they're learning ball control? Ball control is hand setting too. When they get over there, they learn how to set and they get better.
Well, ball control is hand setting well, and they don't have to. You don't have to hand set well. You just have to get your hands on the ball and kind of shovel it up there to the net, and it doesn't get called.
Okay. 4-4. Brazil and the United States. Brian Lewis smacking hard. Brian Lewis and Mike Whitmarsh getting together for the first time in a long time this week. Whitmarsh deciding no longer to play with Canyon Seaman, lost confidence in him.
And that's just a good side out for Brian Lewis. And, you know, the rules are different, and I think that's good. You play different games, different styles, and that's not necessarily bad for volleyball at all.
4-4. Gomes. Oh, he's got some good looks and some good shots.
Just making it look easy right now. And again, it's not a knock on the FIVB players about the rules either. They don't make the rules, and you see a player like Emmanuel coming fresh off the FIVB Tour in an AVP final, so you know those players have good ball control, and they can play the game.
Emmanuel has a great jump serve when he's on. We go to Whitmarsh this time. And chance for a point. Gomes is there to give his team the lead. No. Dug back. Louis on the right. Louis cut. Louis gets.
Louis using the equipment. Defense on the AVP.
Would you say that when Brian Lewis is playing well, he has one of the great cult followings on the tour?
Well, I think everyone roots for the guy that's not 6'8", and Louis is one of the shorter players on the tour, and the crowd gets behind that, and he's a spark plug out there.
4-4, still tied. They're working on Gomes relentlessly, and Gomes has been doing some good chopping. I tell you, if you've got the loopy down the line, and you've got the cut shot cross court, it's pretty tough to play defense.
As long as you can see the defender as you're making your approach, as Gomes is doing very well right now, those are the only two shots you need.
How about Whitmarsh with a little fake blocking? Gomes is doing a lot of shooting, a lot of cutting, a lot of poking. How about the fake block? Get off and take some of those shots.
That should definitely be in his mind right now.
Here comes Lewis. He's off the net, and he puts it away anyway. Brian Lewis taking advantage. We're playing at a mall. It's called the Crossroads Mall, and we're on concrete underneath, and he can get up, can he?
And this is the athleticism of Brian Lewis. He feels that short serve. Whitty sets him well off the net, but he's got the good jump and the real strong arm to just beat that ball deep cross court.
Score still 4-4. Now Emmanuel in green trunks off the net, and he cuts cross court. How many inches of sand would you say are on the concrete in terms of being a jumper's beach?
Chalk and Gage and Marvin Hall, the tournament director this weekend, they try to get 8 to 10 inches above the sand. And when you're just playing for one weekend, that's no problem. If they played here for 2 or 3 weeks in a row, that would be dug out, and you'd be touching concrete in the middle of the court.
Here comes Lewis. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that a jumper's beach like this would favor Brian Lewis a little bit more because he can jump and get up and hit balls off the net, whereas if he was playing at Hermosa or Manhattan, deeper sand would be a little tougher, wouldn't it?
It's always tougher on the shorter player when your range is taken away, and that's one thing that the deep sand will do.
4-4 championship final. Here's Andre Gomes. Tight set. He puts it straight up, and Louis is there. Whitmarsh on 2, and he whacks it.
Louis over on 2, off the dig by Brian Lewis. Just for a point, we break the tie.
Again, what sets this play up is it's a tight set, and Whitty's block is there, and Gomes is intimidated, and he just hits an easy knuckler to Louis that he can set on 2.
You really get the defense confused when you go on 2, don't you?
I think that's when you have the chance, when it's an easy ball and you can control it, if you can set your partner on 2, it just creates all sorts of problems for the defense.
Mike Whitmarsh currently with 17 wins. He's tied for 17th on the all-time win list with beach legends Mike O'Hara and Mike Bright. If he wins today, he would tie with Andy Fishburne for 16th on the career list. So Mike Whitmarsh is moving into some select company.
And he's had a wonderful career, started volleyball late, as you know, Sy, and it would be a real nice win for either one of these teams.
5-4, Whitmarsh and Lewis. Down the line, neither team has won this year. The Brazilians in their first final ever on the American Tour, and I asked them both if they're going to continue playing the American Tour, and he says, yes, we have enough points. We're going to continue to play AVP all year long. They both moved their families, their young daughters out here, and sons. They're making a go of it. Here comes Lewis, and Gomes has the dig to tie it up at 5. Gomes. Lewis. Emmanuel goes and gets it. For the tie, Emmanuel on the right. He bombs it down the line, and Whitmarsh is there. Whitmarsh. Long rally. Can Gomes put it away to get 5? Gomes. Louis goes and gets it. Exhausting rally. Louis scrambling. Louis.
Lord help me! Somebody stop that AVP volleyball in San Antonio!
And here you see Brian Lewis finishing off this play, giving it the Hulkster right after, and it's those long rallies. Winning those long rallies sometimes makes the difference in the match.
5-4. Lewis and Whitmarsh. That saved a point. Here comes Emmanuel. In terms of conditioning, which team would you say is in better shape?
I think you got to give it to the kids, you know, 26 and 25, young legs. It's been a long, hot weekend. And again, the experience of young players. That was just an unbelievable rally before, and you see Emmanuel just coming back and bombing for the side out. That's experience, and experience showing in a young team.
Bad pass. And down the line. Louis with a little pokerama.
So you see Brian shaking his head there. He shanked 2 balls into the net, a couple of high spinny passes toward the backcourt. So far, Whitty's been able to make great plays on all those passes, but you don't want to keep living with that kind of fire, Chris.
You see the squatch temperature gauge. It says 105. I'm told the temperature gauge yesterday read 114.
Yeah, today's kind of a cool, balmy day compared to yesterday.
Yeah, it's breezy. It's like being in Alaska or something. It's down. So Andre will serve. Errors favoring Gomes and Rego. Lewis down the line. Gomes is there. Can he convert, though? Lewis digs in. Louis saving a point. Oh, and then he missed it. So the Brazilians finally get that elusive 5th point, and a timeout is called. We're coming back to the Miller Lite Open at San Antonio, our championship final, 1-15. The Brazilians and the Americans tied 5-5. Our Wilson tip on the beach involves pause.
We talked to Whitty earlier. Louis is hungry. He wants that win. And they're in a great spot right now. 5-all, a young Brazilian team in the final, and they can get there.
5-5, as Mike mentioned, but just 2 minutes and 45 seconds remaining. That's a lot of playing time, but the scoring has not come as fast as we had anticipated. It's kind of hot, it's kind of dry, and the wind has dropped. The flags are silent, and so a lot of side-out volleyball. Tough to score points.
That's what happened when the wind dies down. You don't have the big aces on the jump serve. You see Andre there with the float serve to Lewis.
Here comes Brian Lewis. And Lewis over the top and out of bounds. So Emmanuel and Gomes have their first lead of the match at 6-5.
And a tough attempt for Louis. Witt setting that ball 4 or 5 feet off the net. And that might be the difference in the match, how Andres or Louis handle the bad set.
Good serve there. Lewis recovers, and Gomes goes and gets it. Andre Gomes. High loopy, and Lewis is there. Oh, he got a sweet pause. That came out Nectar, and Lewis pounds it off Emmanuel.
Great hand set defense by Brian Lewis. But the Brazilians have just got to kick themselves. This was an easy point opportunity that they squander with Louis making the defensive play on the other end.
Brazilian squad could be a little nervous. Remember, this is their first American final. They've never won a tournament event on the AVP tour. That's a straight down point set up by the jump serve of Brian Lewis. 6-6.
And again, the theory of fear of winning. You've got a young team, their first open chance for a win. They're up 6-5. They got a great point opportunity that they squander. They come right back and give away a point with a bad serve. It's all tied up.
Great serve by Lewis. Emmanuel on 2. Emmanuel Rego, 25 years old. Once again, the #1 ranked player on the international tour who's made the switch to the AVP tour. He took a second with Jose Loyola in February in Rio. His latest FIVB stop. And he will serve. Want to continue to work on Lewis. And that ball is hit out of bounds. So points coming a little more quickly now. Gomes and Emmanuel get another point.
Unforced error for Louis. He just wants to kick himself right now. You got Emmanuel jumping cross court, then running up to put on the pressure with the block.
7 serving 6. Emmanuel. Rocket ace. Emmanuel right down the pipe.
And there you see the experience and just the great explosiveness of Emmanuel. He's got the wind to his back. The wind's starting to kick up a little bit. He says, I don't care. I'm going to rip that serve deep middle, and just catches the line.
Watch for a timeout here. A 20-second timeout taken by Whitmarsh and Lewis. So Whitmarsh and Lewis trailing now by a couple. We're going to take a short timeout. We're coming back to the beach in San Antonio. Emmanuel and Gomes leading Whitmarsh and Lewis by a deuce. Dodd, the team of yesteryear, watching the championship final. Miller Lite Open in San Antonio. Lewis and Whitmarsh, Gomes and Rego. Gomes and Rego, a great young team on the beach from Brazil. And right now they're in control. They lead at 8-6. They were down early, but they have taken advantage of a couple of good digs, a couple of good plays, and a couple of hitting errors.
The key is the hitting errors. Lots of sighting out in the early part of the match. 4-4 with a few minutes left, and now we've had some hitting errors and some crucial mistakes.
Gomes pops it through. Once again, Andre Gomes, the big guy in the black tank top, sunglasses.
Here he comes again, just chopping off a Whitty's block. Nothing spectacular, but side out after side out, it doesn't matter.
Whitmarsh with just 1 stuff block in this match, and maybe that's been a key. Lewis over the top. Emmanuel goes and gets it. Gomes shoots for a point. No, he's long. 8-6 is our score with 1:59 remaining in the game.
Here you have another great athletic effort by Emmanuel. Soft block, reaches back, sets up his partner, and you want to keep that ball in. You want to keep the pressure on. Andres just hitting it out of bounds.
Gomes. Lewis is there to get the 7 right here. Louis. Dink! Got it! Brian Lewis, he's been utilizing that tip shot, or dink if you like, all weekend long, and he pulled the string just in time. One more look at Brian Lewis as we go to break. He chops in a shorty, and it's 8-7 when we come back. To play in the Miller Lite Open here in San Antonio. Andre Gomes and Emmanuel leading Mike Whitmarsh and Brian Lewis by a point. The Miller Lite rankings at the moment. Loyola and Steffes, the #1 seeded team. Brian Johnson, the #2 seeded team, but they're falling a little as we look at the second 6.
And the key to that 5th seed, Whitmarsh and Lewis, with a great opportunity here in the final. And Gomes and Emmanuel, I don't think they even made the Letterman top 20 list.
They didn't make the top 10, but they are in the top 20 and a chance to move up this week. The Brazilians trying to become the second Brazilian team to ever win on the AVP Tour. The first was Loyola and Anjinho in Washington, D.C., an indoor tournament in 1995. You were there, Dodd.
Emmanuel, nice chop off Whitmarsh block. And again, you talked to these guys earlier in the player tent. They said, all we wanted to do was come out and get some points. You know, they take third in the first tournament of the year. Here's their first final. They've got more than enough points now to continue for the whole season on the AVP Tour if that's what they choose to do.
Here comes Emmanuel. His team leading 8-7. Brian Lewis has played well. Blocked. Emmanuel was there in the cross court. So make it 9-7.
Emmanuel again with a tough jump serve, and Louis is passing this ball so high and with so much spin. Talking to Whitty earlier, he said, I've got to control that set, that high spinny pass. He gave Louis a great set on that one, but Emmanuel pressing over for the block.
Up by 2. Brazilians looking for more. Off speed, nicely done. Chopping shorty once again.
And Emmanuel putting a lot of pressure with his jump serve right now, and he's kind of hitting himself saying, I needed to get back on that play. The ball was well off the net, and Emmanuel just kind of got caught up there in no man's land. He should be getting off that net when the ball's that far off.
Emmanuel pounding straight down. Now, earlier you might have heard us mention the name of Dane Selznick. Dane Selznick is the coach for the Brazilian team of Emmanuel and Gomes. Dane Selznick, a former great AVP star, won many, many tournaments and championships, and he trains them in Hermosa Beach, and they're getting better and better. Worthwhile having a coach, at least for some players. Brian Lewis puts it down. How valuable is a coach?
I think a coach is becoming more and more valuable. You and I, we played in the old days, the old school. We thought,
well, we didn't know. We didn't
coaches.
Need,
Who needs
we
coaches?
Didn't need coaches because we were really smart.
Yeah, we knew everything. But I tell you, a coach can just see little things that you, no matter how well you think you know the game, there's just things that you miss during the course of a match.
I got you.
Great opportunity here.
Brian Lewis looking, no! He drops it down the line. So a big play there to make it 9-8. Once again, it's play to 15, win by 2, or the expiration of the clock, win by 2.
And that, with 1:14, that's why that play is so big. Lewis and Whitmarsh make the deficit only 1 point, so that if the clock does run out, you keep playing.
Here comes Brian Lewis. Andre Gomes down the line. He shot too good. He's got a great-looking loopy down the line, a la Kent Steffes. Kind of comes at you down the middle and then pokes the line, and you can't get there.
And you talk about coaching. I think if Mike Whitmarsh and Brian Lewis had a coach right now, he'd be talking about what you mentioned earlier on in the match. And hopefully that might be something that Whitty's saving
talking about
for the
fake
end.
Blocking.
Fake block,
Okay.
Drop off the net.
So you make him think he's going to be up there, and you get back and pick up those shots.
Gomes is doing a lot of looking and a lot of shooting right now.
Lots of looking.
Another tough serve by Emmanuel.
Whitmarsh. Emmanuel digs it. How about Emmanuel? White T-shirt, green trunks on the ground. He dug one over. That makes it 10-8.
And I don't know how you say it in Portuguese, but I'm sure Emmanuel says better to be lucky than good.
Yeah.
He's caught in between the court, just kind of sticks his arm out and makes the half dig, half block over the net for the point. And a big point. That gets him back to the 2-point advantage.
Full timeout.
Emmanuel throws the ball down because Lewis and Whitmarsh have called a full timeout. Just under a minute and 6 seconds remaining. The Brazilians, Emmanuel and Gomes, in command at 10-8.
Here we go.
They wanted to qualify. They wanted to get some points. They wanted to be part of the action. Now they have a chance to make history and win an AVP tournament. They've never done that. Playing together in their 5th tournament on the AVP Tour. 11-9 lead over Mike Whitmarsh and Brian Lewis with 49 seconds to go. And that man, Emmanuel Rego, has taken charge.
4 or 5 huge plays down the stretch. And Emmanuel, we said it before, he's been there. He knows how to win. If you're Gomes, you got 48 seconds left for your first open win. You're numb already, and you're just thinking, don't make any big mistakes.
We were tied at 6-6. Emmanuel and Gomes 9-7 and then 10-8. Just moments ago, Whitmarsh and Lewis got a stuff block. And that's where we stand right now, 11-9.
And here's a great side out for Brian Lewis. He's crisply ripping the ball across court. And when you get down to 40 seconds, you don't want a lot of long rallies. You want to get quick side outs and score quick points.
Looking for a point here. Here's Gomes. There's the fake block, and Whitmarsh has got it. Chance to pull to within 1. Whitmarsh smacks it. Oh, Gomes dug him. Gomes dug him on the left. Here he comes. And and he puts it down. What a big play, and Gomes may be a little bit tired. He's walking very gingerly as they save a point.
You just had a big opportunity for Whitty on that drop. The fake drop we've been talking about the whole match. And Gomes might have pulled a muscle in his groin, in his thigh. He's grabbing his leg.
All right, Andre Gomes has gone to the bench. He may be injured. We're going to check him out and take a break. 30 and 7/10 seconds to go. Can the Brazilians hang on?
They just want to hold on and get the victory. They're in great shape right now. They've got the serve, and they're up by 2 points and only 30 seconds left.
What a time to strain or have something happen to your left leg. 30 and 7/10 seconds to go. Gomes and Emmanuel leading 11-9. Chris Marlowe and Mike Dodd, Lewis and Whitmarsh trying to hang in. They're down by 2. Emmanuel whacks it hard. And they're looking for another point. Get a little breathing room. Lewis. Emmanuel blocked it off his head. And over the net.
You all right?
Emmanuel.
They lead 12-9 here.
Unbelievable. Now it's 12-9.
What more can you say about Emmanuel? He is simply a world-class volleyball player. His partner Gomes injured. He knows he's got to come in and do something special. Probably didn't plan on blocking the ball off his forehead. But again, it's just a big play. You stay out there long enough, you side out, you give yourself the opportunity to make the big play, and no one does it like him. He is a fantastic player.
He took a pie in the face for the good of the team. His team up now, 12-9. Lewis and Whitmarsh need termination very quickly. Whitmarsh. Boy, I'm thinking back to that one play where Whitmarsh guessed right on the transition. They're down by 2. He's got a dig at the net, and he couldn't terminate.
Yeah, it was a big dig for Gomes on that play. And, you know, we're talking a lot about Emmanuel because he is the man of the hour, but he's got a partner, and you never do anything without your partner.
Down the line to Gomes. Let's see if he can respond. Half jump. Lewis had the dig. No, it's going out of bounds.
Whitmarsh does the perfect thing. He serves Gomes short. You can see he's hurting. He couldn't get the lift in his leg. He just kind of slapped the ball across court, and Louis was right there. He just wasn't able to control it. Here it is. You see him laboring, trying to get up in the air. No jump. Right to Louis. Louis control that ball.
14.5 seconds to go. The Brazilians have to be confident right now. Whitmarsh going on 2, and a dig by Gomes. Clock is running. Lead of 3. And the put away. And Gomes is in agony as he gets that one down.
But he's going to be feeling great in a little while, Chris. They've got a 3-point lead with 5 seconds left. 4-point lead now. They've won this match. The Brazilians have won the match. Congratulations to that man right there. A nice Mother's Day gift for his lovely wife, Juliana.
13-9. Clock is running. Whitmarsh tries to shoot on one, and what a victory for the Brazilians. Gomes and Emmanuel. That will do it. The Brazilians have won on the American AVP Tour.
Emmanuel and Andre, their first career win here in San Antonio. Let's have a nice round of applause.
Emmanuel and Gomes.
Whitmarsh and Brian Lewis.
We told you they were good. Today they were great as they defeat Brian Lewis and Mike Whitmarsh and do it impressively, 13-9.
You've got Andres walking off the court, grabbing his leg. It might hurt a little bit now, but I tell you, on that plane ride home, thinking about the tournament, thinking about the win, he's going to be a happy man, and those aches and pains feel a lot less when you win, Chris.
So the Brazilians have done it. We'll continue with our coverage of the Miller Lite AVP Tour right after this.